you're, on the competition field in the middle of the game, bad stuff inevitably is going to happen. As much as you train, as much as you try to prepare and, foresee, all the possible outcomes, like something, there's going to be a wrench thrown into your plans. And you really don't have time to dwell on it or to, panic. You're dealing with it in real time. And the consequences are maybe more dire in my case. Just the position I played, like offensive line, we're protecting the quarterback. And, if we make a mistake, he's getting drilled by, a 250-pound player. So you try to limit those mistakes.
Yeah. So Tyler, you're a man of many gifts. You've played in the NFL, the CFL. I think you were a licensed insurance agent at some point. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've started at least one business that I know of. You've consulted for the government, and let me know what else I'm missing from that mix.
Yeah, no, that's the laundry list.
Right?
Bit of a d- dip my toes in a few different ponds. But yeah,
Uh, we're friends, but I'm going to come right out and grill you. Okay, I'm going to give you three career milestones of yours, and you need to rank them in order from one to three. So, number one is getting to suit up for the team you dreamed of playing for as a kid, the Minnesota Vikings of the NFL. So that's number one. Number two is being part of the Grey Cup winning 2019 Toronto Argonauts. Number three is being guest number six today on the Oliver Macko Show. Now I'm putting you on the spot.
oh, you made it too easy. Obviously, being your guest is high on the priority list. But yeah, those are tough ones. Obviously, that's tough. I was going to say the Grey Cup is kind of the culmination of all the work that you and your teammates and coaches and have put in, not just even that season. Like these teams tend to build year over year. There's lessons and relationships that pull over from one season to the next. And so to finally, reach that proverbial mountaintop and hoist that Grey Cup in 2017. And the Grey Cup was actually played in my hometown of Ottawa, neutral site in Ottawa, was really special. So that's tough to top. But also, as you mentioned, like I was a Minnesota Vikings fan since I was a kid. So to be able to don the purple and yellow and, go out there on the field and play against other NFL teams and other NFL players and, have a take part in a bit of a special year in 2012 and, go to the playoffs. Yeah, that was pretty special too. It's pretty cool. Something I'll never forget. If I had to rank them, I don't know. You're really grilling me here.
I'll get you off the hook on that one.
Yeah, thanks. I
They're all
appreciate
equally
it.
special. I was watching with Lena the 2019 Grey Cup game, and there's a few minutes left in the game, and Lena knows, and she'll admit to this, she knows nothing about football. I mean, nothing. And I'm competent, like I know the rules and stuff. And there's a few minutes left in the game, and she's yelling at me, "Do they have a chance?" I mean, she doesn't care about football; she cares about you, right? Because we're good friends. And I remember distinctly saying, "No, it's great effort. They tried. It was a close game. It's gonna sting, but they should." The normal platitudes, right? Hold their heads up high, and then my jaw starts to drop with in the closing with the INT,
Yeah, that's crazy.
which was kind of so avoidable, right? And
Yeah,
then Lena's yelling in my ear during this whole time, "Is that good?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's really good." When the other team dropped the ball. So that game was such a classic, and there's just a reason. There's one reason why right there is a non-football fan really got into it. I mean, she watched, I think, most of the game. And what a sweet way as well to finish off a career. Because you didn't come back the next season wisely because that was the start of
COVID
COVID.
year,
Yeah, and it's so rare to see a professional athlete end on a high note. Usually, like you're wanting them to retire because they've done well, and yet they tend to hang in there for a few more years, right? And kind of show their age, and that wasn't the case with you.
Well, the Grey Cup was in 2017, so I did come back for two more seasons.
I didn't get my dates.
Okay. But so yeah, but it was incredible. Just want to touch on quickly, like our head coach that year, Mark Tressman, was just an incredible leader of men, like world, like incredible. I've been around a lot of coaches. He's, up there at the top. He previously head coach of the Chicago Bears in the NFL. Just an incredible leader of men. And all season, he had these incredible speeches and euphemisms, and he would talk about destiny and how everything happens for a reason, and you just look back at that game and it's like hard not to, we all bought in, like throughout the course of the season, like we were bought in. And that team, he always said, like, he's been a part of a bunch of championship teams. He said championship teams feel different, like the locker room feels different. There's no animosity, position to position, which sometimes you have on teams. That year everyone just got along, everyone liked each other, we were all kind of pulling in the same direction. He talked about, having a common goal and everyone working towards it together. And it was really evident that season, which was kind of cool to be a part of. And but just you mentioned like that last sequence, the last 5 minutes of that game, because that was a game where Calgary was, I think they lost one game or two games that year. Like they were dominant that whole season. We lost to them twice during the regular season. So, and then we met them in the Grey Cup. They were heavy favorites. Nobody thought we had a chance, and we were down late in the game. It didn't look good. And like he showed this afterwards. A defensive tackle, sprints chasing a wide receiver who had caught the ball and just happens to punch the ball out, and someone picks it up and runs it back for a touchdown to tie the game. And then we go up by a field goal, and then you mentioned it, like they throw a pass into the end zone to win the game, and we intercept it. And that was Matt Black, the player who intercepted that, who had been released by the team earlier in the season.
No way. I
Yeah,
didn't
and
know.
then for whatever reason, we brought him back, and he ends up being the hero of the Grey Cup. So it's just like so many crazy coincidences and little things that it's hard not to believe in
Yeah.
destiny and everything that he was preaching to us all year. So
Even the name seems made up because you have Jack Black from the
yeah,
movies, right? And here, Matt Black, Black is
yeah,
coming out of nowhere, having been dropped from the team. You spoke of the coach and how key he was to the team. What distinguishes, this is maybe a tough one to answer, but kind of what distinguishes a coach? It's easy to talk the usual kind of motivational platitudes, but what distinguishes kind of a coach that's not getting the players' ears and a coach that is?
yeah. You find out, you can figure out very quickly the coaches that really care about the players. They're not just there, because they want a winning record on their in their scorebook or whatever, on their for their legacy or anything like that. Like they care about this team. They're more concerned with building up the players themselves and the character of the team than necessarily on the wins and losses results. Because if you build a team properly, like the results kind of take care of themselves. And that's like we went to work early in June and May in training camp, and the focus was on that. Often you get caught up in kind of short-term results, and it peters out, right? Like it doesn't last. But he really built a foundation, and it was evident how much he cared about the team. And he was a guy you really wanted to play for. Like you wanted to win for him. There was no selfishness. So yeah, I would say you can figure out really quickly like what is motivating these coaches. Whether they're just in it for as a stepping stone to advance their career or whatever. Yeah, he was in it for all the right reasons, definitely.
It's something you feel. It's not so much the words are something you've never heard before, but it's the meaning behind them and the honesty behind them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not to say that, he wasn't, he wasn't sugarcoating or letting you off the hook if you made mistakes. Like you were hearing about it just, as any professional athlete does, but it was more the motivation behind it.
Okay, so 2017, I don't know how I had 2019 in my head. You know what it was? It was that you retired just before COVID.
I did,
That's what
my
it was.
last season was 2019, so that's
And I
probably,
remember telling you at the time, good move,
yeah,
good
right
move.
before COVID. Yeah, I was fortunate.
Because 2020 was wiped out,
Yeah,
wasn't
they
it?
canceled the season.
Yeah. You and I ran a 5K. I don't know if you remember this, up at Blue Mountain.
Yeah.
And I hope you don't feel bad, but we were kind of, by me saying this, but we were kind of huffing and puffing towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember there were some slight gradients uphill, and it seemed like these monster hills. that was 3, 4 years back, and I remember I couldn't catch up to you. Like we were side by side, and then you pulled ahead. But I
I
think it
think
was
you
in
stopped for
slow-mo
some
replay.
water.
Yeah, I was going less slow than you.
Yeah.
But fast forward to just a couple weeks ago, you ran the Ottawa Half Marathon, and you're still here today. This is not AI, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think you're in the hospital.
Yeah.
You're when you used to play, you had to bulk up, and it was so noticeable, and perhaps beyond your natural comfort zone. So maybe speak to me about now that you're off the hook with football, so to speak, what avenues that's opened up, and clearly it's made jogging perhaps more viable. It's not only that, I'm sure, but also the combination of some training you put in. So hats off to you. Half a marathon. I did a 10K once, and I was losing my mind by kilometer 6 because I was used to these 5K runs. So kudos to you, and like maybe take me through a bit of your training regimen to get through it, because I don't think it if I were to look up all the former professional football players and run some stats, I don't know how many have actually completed a half marathon.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how they say like, like adults have like mom strength or dad strength? It's like that, just from being older and, having put in, so much work over the years, you just have that residual strength.
Yeah.
I think it's honestly something similar. Like back in university, University of Tulsa in Oklahoma, we had so many, 6 a.m. workouts. It's, 110 degrees Fahrenheit out on the field, and we're running sprints and, doing hills and all sorts of stuff. And you kind of just learn how you just know like this is going to be terrible. This is going to be really tough. I'm going to want to quit. But there's something about being pushed to that point over and over and over again and just finding a way to get through it. Now I feel like a lot of things are, not as difficult as maybe, they should be. I don't know. That's kind of strange to say, but
Sure.
I can kind of just buy into the fact that, okay, this is going to be an unenjoyable 2 hours, but I'll be okay. Like I'll find a way through it and
Mhm.
I'll be able to move on. So, yeah, just I think being able to shut my brain off a little bit
Just
when
as
I'm
much
doing it,
mental as
because
physical, I
because
think.
I'm by no means like a runner. I don't go, some people get Lena, gets enjoyment going out for long runs. I don't think, but definitely you mentioned it's more viable now, that I've shed some pounds. I think I've dropped like 60 or 70 pounds from my playing weight. Yeah, just the pounding, putting those kilometers and that running training, I don't think would have been good for my joints, weighing upwards of 300 pounds. So it kind of opened that door for me to give it a try now that I'm a little lighter.
Marathon next year. Oh.
We'll see.
Just putting
Melissa's
it out
trying
there, right?
to, everyone's like, oh, okay, great. You did a half marathon. Like, when are you going to do the real thing? I'm like, oh,
It's
okay. Yeah, we'll
it's
see.
funny. It's psychological, right? They don't say, "Hey, I ran the 21K." No, it's you did half of this thing.
Yeah, the half. Yeah, you only did half of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speak to me a bit about, and you touched upon it already, the discipline that football instills. I remember we have kids of a similar age, and back when you used to live in Toronto, I remember you being the cool customer when it's hot outside, there's kid issues, there's maybe significant other issues, and things are getting dropped, and you managed to stay cool with that. That's one example of a bunch. So how much of that can you kind of attribute to football, and perhaps maybe touch upon some other aspects of life where that long football trajectory has helped you out like in
Yeah.
later years?
Yeah, I think all of it honestly is attributable to football. And probably just sports in general. Like other athletes probably have similar experiences, just in that when you're, on the competition field in the middle of a game, bad stuff inevitably is going to happen. As much as you train, as much as you try to prepare and, foresee, all the possible outcomes, like something's going to, there's going to be a wrench thrown into your plans. And you really don't have time to dwell on it or to, panic. You're dealing with it in real time. And the consequences are maybe more dire in my case. Just the position I played, like offensive line, we're protecting the quarterback. And, if we make a mistake, he's getting drilled by, a 250 pound player. So you try to limit those mistakes. So yeah, when, the stuff hits the fan, you kind of just, they always say in football, you have to be audible ready. You always have to be ready to pivot, make adjustments. And so just, having those repetitions, training that for so many years, I guess you could say I'm used to things going wrong. So I'm not surprised, in real life when, stuff happens and kids are melting down and yeah, you just figure out a way to deal with it.
And your 1, 2, 3 actually works when you give your kids the. I don't know if it's still the case, but
Yeah.
remember the 1, 2, 3 always working. And
Yeah. I think I'm getting to
originally,
like 7, 8, 9 now. It's not working as well.
yeah, and the bribery doesn't necessarily work as well as it used to, does
It's
it?
just different. You find different motivators.
Yeah, yeah, same here. So you grew up in a suburb of Ottawa, and it's maybe hard to imagine two very different places, or you tell me. Grew up in Ottawa, and next thing you know, you finish high school and you're in Tulsa. I've never been. Is it, what were the first few days and weeks like, and what kind of reception did you get, and what was, I mean, you spent, was it 3 or 4 years there?
5. Yeah.
Fine,
So,
so this is a big chunk
uh,
of your life.
yeah, it was quite an adjustment. You asked about the first few weeks. Yeah, so born and raised in Ottawa, and then got a scholarship to go play football down in Oklahoma, at Tulsa. And I went in January, so it was a little strange because I didn't have a lot of game film up here. Just not a lot of the football games are filmed. So I graduated high school obviously in June, and then over the summer was when the real football season took place that I played it in high school. So I did that, traveled around Ontario, going to Toronto and stuff for games, and then I took that fall off, and spent it just visiting schools in the States, working out, staying in shape. And then I started school that January. And so that's just about the time of the year where there's something called mat drills. I think they start in early February. So it's cold outside. Even in Oklahoma, it gets cold. So there's snow like frost on the field in the mornings. And you're out there at 4:45 in the morning, whole team, all the coaches. And that's probably my least favorite part of the year, mat drills. It runs for about 3 or 4 weeks, and it's just terrible workouts, and it's every 2 days, and you don't think you're gonna, at the end of it, you're trying to catch your breath. You don't feel like you're ever gonna, get your breath again. But it works out, and so I was like, this is awful. Like, what did I do? I'm 2 or 3 weeks in, and I'm like,
High
man,
school
I need
wasn't
to
like
go
this.
back home. But yeah, you stick with it and you develop awesome relationships. Like there's something to be said about going through hard things with people. It really, pulls you together. So yeah, some of my best friends, we have these shared experiences, and yeah, it was obviously great. Spent 5 years there. Had a great time. Uh, yeah, we won a lot of football games, had a lot of fun, and met a lot of great people. So those are relationships that'll last a lifetime.
Sounds like you're still in touch with some of your teammates from back then. And are you in touch as well from any former Argo or Vikings teammates?
Oh yeah, it's easy these days, right? Like you have your group chats with your groups of friends, so there's always, messages flying back and forth, almost on a daily basis. And then just, whatever on social media, chatting with people, sending people videos and
Did you see that play?
stuff.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, so yeah, it's good. We all stay pretty connected.
That's awesome. And are there any of those former teammates that are in the Ottawa area?
I don't think so. No, a couple of them have moved out west. I played all 7 years of my CFL career in Toronto. So there's a couple guys that are from Toronto. A lot of Americans, like half the league, half the CFL is Americans. So some of those guys, once they retire, go back home. And then a few of my friends live out west now. So no one in Ottawa, but yeah, maybe a couple will make the move. We'll see.
I mentioned how many like you're a jack of all trades. Do you see yourself getting back into football in some capacity?
I don't know. Maybe as my kids get older, if they want to, like Vince is obsessed with football, but we're, trying to temper that for now. Uh,
I remember the tackles from the age of 2 or 3. It was
yeah, yeah,
tackling whatever was in sight.
yeah. We were trying to just like discourage that behavior, on the
But
playground.
now you
But
have to turn it back on again if he gets
yeah,
into it.
exactly. Um, so maybe I'll get into coaching. Those like the little league teams and stuff like that, the minor football. But in terms of like high school or college or anything like that, it was never really something that interested me. It's a tough life. It's tough on your family. There's a lot of turnover in coaching. They have to pick up and move their families, or their family stays in one place and they just, live separately for the seasons. It's
Sure.
never really something that, you know, that I was too drawn to.
Yeah, and you've lived it already. You put in your years
Yeah,
of
I've put in my
having to
years.
do
I
that.
have some like former teammates though that are, head coaches at universities in the States and doing really well and, having a lot of success. So that's really
Mm.
cool to see. Um, but yeah, I'm sure we watch football all the time. Like I'm able to stay connected to the sport that way. So I don't feel like I'm missing too much.
Your dad, Richard, played in the CFL for many years. He was a star from what I could dig up. And I read an interview that you did years back that he had no surprise. He had a big role in getting you into football and spurring you on. And I think you've played it. You tell me you've played it a bit differently with Vince anyway, or at least that's what you used to tell me. This is a few years back. So are you kind of more precautious because of the potential for injury? And is it kind of something have you landed on a an outcome, so to speak? Is it something because it sounds like he's still really into it, even though you're no longer in the league? Where do you see that going?
Yeah, so definitely, it's you see all these reports and stuff come out on the dangers of head injuries, especially at a young age while the brains are still developing, and so it's just really something we want to avoid. So if he, right now he's playing flag football, so it's all just non-contact, and then he does like skills camps and things like that, where but he's not putting a helmet on, shoulder pads, like we're not doing that till at least high school. And if it's something that he wants to pursue at that time, we can have a discussion, but definitely not until at least high school. But in terms of my dad, definitely a driving factor. He was a running back in the CFL for a few years up here, and pivotal. And we didn't have the same resources that a lot of these American kids have, and really that's who you're competing against for these scholarships in the States. Um, so, like if I wanted to work out, there was no football coach at school or anything like that. There was no facilities to do that. So my dad was pivotal in training me all through high school. Um, and really like the first one that built that discipline and that regiment of, I worked out 5 days a week, and it didn't feel like cumbersome because it was just, there was no question. It was like, oh, of course we're working out today. That's what we do, so it wasn't like, oh, we have to work, so you just get used to it and you get into a routine, and you keep stacking those weeks, and the results end up paying off. So um, yeah, he was definitely pivotal. um, I don't think there was the same research and stuff, back then in terms of risk of childhood injuries, but I didn't start playing till high school either. So people always say like Vince is pretty good at flag football already, and people are like, oh, he should play tackle, and it's like he'll have enough time to do everything he needs to do, even if doesn't start until high school. So, if he wants to develop some of those skills in the interim, in a non-contact form, that's fine. But we'll hold off on the hitting for now.
In flag football, are there positions in flag football, or is it kind of free for all?
Yeah, so it's 5-on-5, and it's essentially like a quarterback and then four receivers. So there's no like linemen or anything like that. And then the defense is they're just like covering the receivers. So he really wants to be a receiver, so it's perfect for him. He gets all the running the routes and catching the ball and doing his little juke moves after the catch and stuff. So he's enjoying it.
He ran in the Ottawa race as well. Obviously not half marathon, but it just seems like he's into it. Like that probably bodes well if he's into something as tough. I think it's tough, like to tell a kid to jog a couple K
Yeah,
and to
yeah, and
keep,
I know Ame, is big into running too, but it's pretty awesome to see what they're capable of if you just kind of like give them a little bit of training and bring them out to run a little bit.
Mhm.
Like they're sponges, right? Like they just progress and improve so quickly. I'm jealous, but yeah, no, he did a great job. All three kids actually ran.
Nice.
Vince ran the 1.2 with Jaden, and then Callie and Vince ran the 2 kilometer as well. So it was cool. And some of those kids are fast out there. Um, yeah,
I'm
it
just
was
gonna
pretty
say,
impressive, honestly.
Ame, like, you tell me your story, but there's this thing about being able to outrun your dad or your mom, and it's gone from being comical to like, okay, I'm starting to breathe pretty heavy to stay
Yeah.
in front to, yeah, no more head starts. So
No,
I don't know how
I
much time I have left, but not
yeah,
much.
I can attest. So this is last year because he ran the 2 kilometer last year too, and we did a little bit of training for it last summer
Hmm.
or last spring. And I'm like, okay, like I have a route picked out. It's like 2 kilometers. I'm like, okay, ready? Like, let's get going. And he just takes off, and I'm like silly kid, like he's gonna burn himself out. I'm like, Vince, slow down. You're gonna, burn yourself out. And he just kept it up the whole time. I was like, oh.
Meanwhile, your joints are achy, and you
I was
need your
like,
two
I
to
started off
warm
telling him
up.
to slow down, for him, for his sake. But after a while, it was for me. It was like, hey, like, slow down. So yeah,
Uh, that's that's sweet,
yeah,
bittersweet maybe, but
yeah.
that's
We'll
sweet.
see. I think I can, if I stretch a little bit and, get the kinks out, I think I can keep up with him for a few more years. But to your point, I think it's fleeting. I don't think it'll last too much longer.
Rating, yeah. Um, I'll throw some hot takes out at you, and they're completely random, just whatever pops into my head.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. You and I talked about Bitcoin. You're like, where's this guy taking this conversation from football to and jogging to Bitcoin? But uh, is it gonna crumble in the coming years? Is it gonna skyrocket, or you have no idea? A, B, C.
I don't think anyone has any idea, right? Like it's such an interesting space. And it's a bit like the Wild West, right? So
Hmm.
it's like not regulated. There's so much like room for bad actors and things like that. You hear, horror stories of all these meme coins and, people getting taken to the woodshed and losing a bunch of money.
Hardcoin.
But then there seems to be like some of these like Bitcoin and Ethereum that are somewhat stable and yeah, I mean the gains are crazy. You always kick yourself and what was I doing in like 2013? Like I had
Yeah,
$1,000 laying around. Like I could have been a billionaire,
done by
today.
now.
But
I
yeah,
have that. I have a version of a story that I have the same thing that's happened now. I've heard the same story three or four times. Maybe you're the same, but it goes like this: you're talking to somebody, and they talk about their crazy friend that bought Bitcoin in 2013, right? And how it was weird, and there was this huge evangelist for Bitcoin, and it strained the relationship maybe. And here I am, like on the receiving end, thinking, yeah, your friend might be crazy, but he's also probably a millionaire right now.
oh, yeah.
So.
But those evangelists, they're like truthers, right? Like diehards, and
Yeah.
they're like, okay, I might be worth like $10 million. I might have $10 million worth of Bitcoin, but I'll never sell it. Like, and so you're kind
Yeah.
of like, okay,
See,
so
I'm
you're never
I'm
gonna.
seeing those interviews thinking, I'll just sell half of it, man. Just
Yeah, like if you're never gonna sell it, like you're never gonna enjoy,
yeah.
the huge
Oh, okay.
rewards that you've had. Yeah, there's actually there's like a website, there's a calculator online where you can
Mhm.
put in a date and an amount of money. It's like, say I had, $5,000 back on January 1st, 2012, and it shows you
Oh,
how
that's
much it would be
brutal.
worth today. Like it has like the spot prices on those dates. And it's just like, oh,
Brutal. I hope Lena's not watching this because she's very anti. But I think is it such a bad idea to just have a little, just in case, right? Like I don't want to look back at today, 10 years from now, and it's done a 10x or a 50x, and thinking, oh yeah, it didn't make any sense. Who cares if it makes sense or not? Just have a little bit in your
yeah,
portfolio, right?
I think you just have to be willing to like for it to go to zero, right? Like
Yeah.
if it hits the moon, that's amazing, but I'm not riding on it. It's not, my kids, tuition money or anything like that. So
It's not your RESP
yeah, exactly.
currency.
I have to keep working till I'm 90 because Bitcoin fell off the face of the earth. But yeah,
Meanwhile,
it's some of the stories are really amazing.
I don't want my kids when they're 20 saying, "Dad, what were you doing? Why didn't you buy a fraction of a Bitcoin back in 2025? Forget 2013, right?"
It's like Back to the Future. You just need that sports almanac, right? Like
Yeah.
you just knew ahead of time.
Um, the okay, Bitcoin is like on many people's minds, AI.
Mm.
So it's like you can't escape the conversation, and I don't expect you to have any really like groundbreaking insights necessarily, but in what you do, has it, are you still consulting with kind of what I saw you doing a few years
Yeah,
back?
yeah, project management.
Yeah, has it come into play? And if so, like, what's the sentiment? What's your sentiment in people like kind of in your position? Is it friend or foe? Is it something that you could leverage to make yourself even maybe more in demand than you have been? Or is it seen more as a threat or depends on the person?
You're hitting all the hot topics today, Ollie.
Next, I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
no, it's definitely something that's come into play already. Like I feel like we're kind of at the early stages of, AI and its integration and how into how we work. But it's I don't know if how much you've experimented with it, but it's an incredible tool. Has so many different applications. Like it's hard to think of industries that aren't going to be impacted by this, right? Like project management,
Right.
definitely. It makes everything easier. My father-in-law is a translator or was a translator,
Hmm.
and he still does kind of, in his semi-retirement, he still takes on contracts. But
Hmm.
he was telling me that now they have AI tools and they still hire translators to kind of go through and refine and, pick up on mistakes that the AI has made. But he said documents that would have taken him 3 weeks to translate, he can do in like an hour. So it's like crazy, right? Because he's just going through like proofing it essentially. He's not having to do the raw translation. And
Yeah.
like from law to medicine to anything, right? So it's definitely going to be a huge disruptor, and just the pace at which it's improving and accelerating is it's not linear, right? It's exponential. So
Exponential.
it's hard to imagine what the world will look like in 10 years and how many industries will be disrupted and how many new industries will be created by it as well. So for now, like to your point, I'm just trying to stay ahead of the curve as much as I can. Use these tools to, add, value in the work that I do, and yeah. But
For me, for me, it's been those are great points. For me, it's been mostly what I've been reading about until recently, and the platform that I'm recording this on, post recording, there's a button you can press, and it extracts, you know, interesting sound bites. And I was dubious. I'm like, how does the code know what's
yeah,
interesting? You press a button and like, oh, you want 10 interesting 30-second sound bites. And yeah, they're all interesting. They're like, and you can edit them. And I remember going through a few and I'm thinking, I did an edit and then I reversed it back to what the AI had given me because it was better.
yeah,
So definitely burying your head in the sand is not the approach. I've spoken to a few like on the podcast actually financial like CFOs and stuff and wealth advisors, and the common theme seems to be if your value, there's a human based value. So if you can position yourself to leverage AI as a tool, but be that kind of trustworthy voice, I think there's something to that. Where are we ever gonna, as humans, accept 100% what AI is outputting? So
yeah.
I
We're
don't
we're
have the
gonna
answer.
delegate
That's the common theme.
that trusted authority, right? Yeah, no, that's a great point.
I have a
But
business idea. I have this business idea. I don't know if I should. I'll give you the details actually after we stop recording because there
okay,
may be something to
just
it.
in case.
I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna plant the seed. Yeah, just in case AI wants to get me in my sleep tonight. But it has to do with a business opportunity. Maybe this is good that I'm putting it out there right now because we can look back at this when this is a huge success
Yeah,
and say, yeah, this was the moment. So it just dawned on me the other day of, okay, here's the premise. How do you know the content you're consuming, including this podcast, is, let's call it human based or purely human?
real. Yeah,
And like it's been kind of like haha, if you go back a couple of years and you saw those kind of what ChatGPT could produce, people had like a sixth finger,
yeah,
something wasn't quite right. And now the latest, I saw a couple of clips that I couldn't tell. People were saying on X that, well, oh, you can barely tell that's AI. And I'm watching it thinking, I cannot tell that's AI. And then it's getting better exponentially. So the business premise, let's chat after this
yeah.
recording. But
I think is
it's
it
like,
VO3 or VO3
yeah.
that
Oh
just
yeah,
came
that's
out with
exactly
it.
what that's what
Yeah,
yeah.
where it's making videos and like the voices are synced up perfectly and it's
Echo.
indistinguishable. Like
So if they're in a big space, like in a public hall, there's a bit of echo, the
yeah,
background noise.
background,
Yeah. So
people having conversations in the background,
yeah,
yeah, it's
that's
incredible,
nice.
honestly. But yeah, to your point, like it's going to be a huge issue, right? Because as much as incredible it is, and as much opportunity that it might create, there's also bad actors, and uh, you know, how are you going to be able to trust the information that you see? Yeah,
Imagine,
so I'm
imagine
I'm
getting a.
I'm I'm excited to hear your ideas here, but
Okay, don't let me forget. Imagine getting a phone call from your wife, like drop everything, you have to come home, and you're like, was the
oh
tone a bit different because there's an actual emergency, or was that am I being spoofed?
yeah.
Right? I hope I'm not planting any seeds for some
No,
AI.
I've heard that there's like fake ransom calls and things like that now. And it sound like they're using the people's voices through AI. Um, and like it's fake. But yeah, it's
Oh no.
crazy. It's gonna be a crazy world.
Okay, we need to get together on this
Yeah.
business idea. It's a beautiful Sunday. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thanks so much. This was a lot of fun, and I know you from before, but you're no longer in Toronto, so this was the chance
Yeah.
to get to catch up a bit. And the podcast is kind of like a good cover story to get in touch in a way with old friends and contacts. So thanks for
It's not
taking the
even
time. Out.
recording. We're just having a chat.
Yeah. Cool, Tyler. Thank you so much for your time. And see, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna put some kind of like watermark on this video that certifies it as being human based, so people know that I didn't make this up.
Yeah. Only 5 fingers, so we're good.
Yeah.